just want to be a holy temple.
I just want to be a holy temple.
I just want to be a tabernacle.
I just want to be a tabernacle for you.
Where you are, Lord.
Where you are.
Where you are, Lord.
Where you are.
I just want to be, say,
I just want to be
a sacred place.
a sacred
We want to be that dwelling place, your abiding place. I just want to be.
a holy temple.
I just want to be, Lord, yes,
A tabernacle for you.
where you are,
Where you are.
where you are.
Where you are.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you guys for joining me today. This is our first official show. The first one was the pilot, just to get reintroducing myself. And so today I want to bring up the topic of returning. What does it mean to return? Because that was the theme for this this re-entry, relaunching, was the return. And so what I want to do is just go in and dive in and see, what does returning look like? What does that look like? What elements, what things need to be in place? What do we need to do? What kind of adjustments we need to make? Let's see what it looks like, so that we don't come back to this point again. So where we're saying we return, we don't want to continue to go through the process of returning. We want to continue to go forward, and we want to continue to elevate. And so I want to go back and go over the definition of return. Return means to bring, it means to send, it means to put back to a former or a proper place. And one of the things I want to look at to bring, and sometimes life brings us to a point where we have to return. We got to return back to our original state in God. We got to return back to that place, return back to the vision, return back to the call, return back unto that thing that we was doing initially. Because sometimes life happens, not sometimes, but all the time life happens. Life is always going to happen, but we have to have a resilience in us to maintain our stance in the midst of all the things that are transpiring in our life. And so we keep coming back we keep returning, we keep having to come back when we don't get to that point where we have that stamina in us. We don't have that resistance in us. We don't have the tenacity to fight. And so when we don't have that, we always have to return. It says to bring, it says to send, or put back to a former or proper place. And so when we have to keep putting things back, we got to start asking ourselves a question. We got to start asking questions, because that's one of the things that I like to do when I'm looking at something that I don't always understand, or I like to ask questions. I ask myself questions. I ask other people questions, because I believe that once you get an understanding of a situation, two things going to either happen. One, you're going to get the information that you need to walk out of it, or two, you're gonna have a stance in your spirit to endure it. Right? So when you get an understanding, you can walk through it, or you can come out of it, or you can step out of or walk out of it, because we perish because of a lack of knowledge. And so that's one of the things I like to tell people. When you have something in front of you, when you don't understand what's going on, start asking questions. Ask questions. And as you ask questions, it begin to pull back the layers and you begin to see what's really going on in that situation. You begin to really see what's going on in those situations and within those circumstances. I was listening to a video on yesterday, and the man of God and the woman of God, they was talking, and they was saying that when we are having dealings with people, we have to get to the point that we have empathy. And then when we have an empathy, we have to be able to analyze the state that they're in. And then when we see the state that they're in, we're able to process what they're saying and what they're doing differently, because we understand, okay, this, they're doing this because they're hurt, they're doing this because they got disappointed, they're doing this because there was fear for something happened. And so when we look at our lives, when we start taking evaluations and we begin to take inventory in our own life, and we begin to look and we start asking those questions: what brought me to this point? What do I need to do to come out of this point, out of this place? Okay. Or I could be in a successful place. I can be in a prosperous place, but I don't want to get to the point where I get stagnated or I get comfortable and I just start and the flow stop. And so now you got to start asking yourself the questions is, what do I need to do to take that next step? How do I progress from here? And so when we asking questions, we are always growing. When we asking questions, we are always moving. And so we get to the point where we always thinking we know when we don't know. We're going to always stay where we are. And so when you stay where you are, you find yourself stagnated, you find yourself lost, you find yourself depressed, you find yourself in low places. And then you have to get to that point of returning. And so that's why I said, what does returning looks like? What does it look like? What does it look like to return? It means to come back. What do it look like to come back? Why do we have to keep coming back? Why we have to keep coming back to this place? Why we have to keep, I'm trying to pull this up on my phone because I need to share this right here. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. But when we understand and when we start getting that understanding of what's really going on and what it really, really looks like, then we find out that, okay, this is not as bad as it looked. I can endure this. I can manage this. I can plow through this. I can change this and I can change that. But when we continue to look at things from the same lens, we're going to always get to the point. We're going to always be returning. We're going to always be coming back. We're going to always be looking back. So when we start analyzing, this is what returning looks like. When you return from a place, what there was, it was the prodigal son. He said he got it in his mind, I can go back to my father's house and I can have more as a servant than I do right here. He began to wake up, realize the light bulb came on. Okay, now if I go back to where I was, if I return back to where I came from, I can have an abundance. I don't have to be impoverished. I don't have to have lack. I don't have to have insufficiencies in my life. And sometimes with some people, that's you returning back to God. Because we are in these backsliding situations and we thinking, oh, the world is against me. No, it's not the world against you. How you doing, Jeremiah? It's not the world against you. What it is that you're warring against the decisions that you made. And now you got to go back and return back to the Father. You got to return back unto him, because the covering, that hedge that was around you, it was because you was with the Father. And so you stepped outside of his presence, you step outside of his will, and you try to do things within your own self. And now you're finding out that it is harder out here than what you thought it was. I'm guilty. I've been down that road. I've done that thing. And so I just wanted to say, when you really honestly take a real look at what is going, y'all hold on just a second. I got to get this to somebody. Yeah. So when you really take a look at where you are Because when you return, you evaluate the whole situation. And you in the understanding, I don't want to go back to what I came out of. Right? That's what returning looks like. And the Hebrew word for turn, because returning is turn. You got to turn, and then when you in the Christendom, that say repent, and that's all the same thing. And that means to shiva in the Hebrew, and that means to turn. That means to pivot. That means to go in a different direction. And in the psychology world, they said that when you do things, the same thing over and over and over, and you expect a different results, that's insanity. And so this is what returning looks like. We're coming out of that state of insanity, and we're coming into our sound mind. We're coming into our righteous mind. We're coming into who we are. Okay, I want to return unto my whole self. And I used to use that word a lot, those words a lot, my whole self. I want to be my whole self. I want to be the self that God made me to be. When God created me, I didn't have holes in me. I wasn't marred. I wasn't cracked. I wasn't traumatized by life events. I was pure in his image. I was everything that I needed to be. But when you go through life, you filter through life, things happen. Things come on you, things break you, things bend you. Things bind you up. And so what we have to do is return to that place of wholeness, that place of healing, that place of power, that place of understanding, that place where we know who we are. And when we know who we are, there are certain things that we will not allow ourselves to do. There's a standard we will live up to. We'll live up to a standard that this is something that I don't do. I understand what the culture is doing. I understand what everybody around me is doing, but I don't do this because of who I am. I'm returning to my state of being. And that's what this is all about. Just be who you are. And when you understand, but you first got to find out who you are to do that. And so when we understand that we are coming back to our original state in God, our original state, and we can stand the test of time. We can stand the test of all the things that's going on in our life. But we have to come back. We have to get to a point where we say, enough is enough. I am tired of circling the same thing over and over. I'm tired of going around this mountain. I'm tired of digging holes and I'm not getting anything. I'm tired of giving and I'm not receiving. And we got to start analyzing those situations. Why? Start asking those questions. Why? Start asking those questions. When? What? How? And when you begin to ask those questions, you're going to get to the root of the issue. Okay, how did I get here? What decisions did I make to bring me to this point? Okay, now what do I need to do to get out of this place? And then when I get out of this place, what do I need to do to make sure I do not return to this place? So we got to start asking questions, and that's where we miss it at. We be so on a high that I got it, I made it, but we are not closing all those doors. We're not closing those exit points. We're not closing those entry points, because when we don't close those doors, we're giving the enemy access. And then for those of us that is not, for those that are not saved, when you don't close those doors and you don't, I don't know what you call it, the negative energy or whatever you call it, you're giving that stuff access right back into your life. So we got to start coming when we return back to our state of being. Okay, now what doors do I need to close? This is what returning looks like. I'm returning to who God called me to be. I'm returning back to my place of wholeness. I'm returning back to my place of dominion, because he told us to have dominion and to subdue the land. He told us that we have authority and the power over everything. And so when I come back to that place, Now, what do I need? What doors I need to close? I need to close some doors because while I was out here doing this, that, and that, I done opened up a lot of doors in my life. I have given the enemy access to a lot of areas in my life. And so now I got to go back and start asking those questions. What doors I need to shut? Okay, I watched some stuff while I was out there that I didn't need to watch, and so now some stuff that came through my eye gates. Okay, so God began to show me the things that I saw that I didn't need to see, so I can purify those things out of my eyes, so my vision will be clear. Because our vision is blurred, our vision is dull because of some of the stuff that we have seen, and and what um and what the media does and what it is doing is desensitizing us to a lot of things. It is okay to do this. It is okay to do that. And it's like it's common to see people dying every day. Not because of natural causes, but it's common to see people being murdered and hear about people being murdered. It is common. It's becoming a common thing. And so you seeing people drugged out, you seeing this and you seeing that. And so what happened is we getting desensitized to the things that are going on around us and be like, oh, that is this and oh, that is that. And when our actuality is that we should be sensitive, we should be conscious, we should be aware of what's going on around us, and it should move our heart. Not move our heart to the point that we are in limbo and we just up and down and we just don't know where we are. Not to the point that we are depressed. Not to the point that we just overwhelmed by life and all that going on around us. But we should be so conscious to what's going on around us. To it brings us, what can I do? How can I make a difference right where I am? That's what returning looks like. I have come out of a place and now I'm sensitive to what's going on around me. So, and how can I make this thing better? How can I make what's around me? How can I impact the people that are around me? How can I make their situation better now that I have returned? That's what returning. When you turn, you don't just turn and walk away and just leave everything back there. No, you return, you get solid, and then you go back and you start helping those that was behind, that you left back there. You begin to help those that are around you. You got to become more consciously aware of what's going on in this world. That it should move your heart when you hear about these children being kidnapped and being abducted. It should move your heart that even though it's not in the media right now, but these women are still being human trafficked. It should be on your heart. It should bother you that our young kids are killing themselves with guns. It should bother you that when you turn on the radio and all they talking about is sex and drugs and murder. That should bother you. And when you turn on the TV, all you see is sex, drugs, murder, and witchcraft. You just seeing all this stuff that desensitizing a generation. And I'm not talking about just young people. I'm talking about the generation that is in the earth. We got multiple generations right now. And all of us are being fed the same thing. And everyone is being desensitized. We're not consciously aware that the enemy is rocking us to sleep. Yeah, he's rocking us to sleep. And then for those that are involved in ministry and in the church world, and you're seeing all this stuff that's going on in church, and for some people, they think that is okay. No, it's not okay. There's a standard in which we should be living by. There is moral character in which we should be living by. That's what returning looks like. Returning looks like, okay, now let's set up boundaries. I know that you only live once. I know YOLO. I know all this stuff out here, but we need some standards. We need some boundaries. And I remember people be talking about the old folks and these old landmarks. Oh, we need some landmarks now. We need some boundary points now. And they was talking about how strict things used to be. And so now you don't have a balance. I understand that things may have been too strict in the past and or this and that, but then now you just like everything go. It's loosey goosey. That's what my folks would say. You know, anything goes. And it should not be like that. We should be able to say, I don't agree with you, but that doesn't mean I don't love you. That's what returning looks like. I don't have to agree with everything that I'm seeing. I don't have to agree with everything that's going on around me. I don't agree. I set a standard. I put my stick down. I put my flag down. You can't cross this line. This is the way it is over here. This is how we do it. This is it. We don't do that over here. And see, I'm the type of person, I'm the type of person that everywhere I go, I'm the same person. But I don't treat people the same because everybody is different. And so you can't give everybody the same thing because everybody cannot handle the same thing. So I'm learning how. I'm not saying I mastered that thing. I am learning how to be all things to all people. Because some people just need me to be around them and be quiet. Some people need me to be the life of the party, and which I can be. Some people just need, people need different things. And so we have to grow to a point where we are sensitive to the needs of those that are around us, that we can be like Paul, I become all things to all men that I may win some. It shouldn't be that, oh, he's like that. Oh, she's like that. That's just how they are. No. We can't live our life like that. Now that we are returning to a place, it is our responsibility. It is on us to help somebody else to return. You got to come up. If you're going to be in my life, you got to come up. And then for those that choose not to be in my life and God put you on my heart to pray for you, you are going to come up. There's no way around it, because I believe that when I pray, God hears. And when I believe that in God's time and everything that I pray, he's going to manifest that thing in his time. And so if I'm praying for you, you best believe something in your life is going to change. Something in your life is going to break off. God is going to bring you to your fullness. God's going to bring you to who he wants you to be and do what he desires to do in your life. It's just a matter of time. It is just a matter of time. I do not accept that that's just the way I am thing, because I used to be like that until God started convicting me. Oh no, that's not just the way you are. That's not the way you are. Life happened to you, and that's the way you ended up. And so we got to understand that life happens to people, and they ended up that way. Everybody responds to things differently. And what happens to some people, it makes them bitter. Some people become timid. Some people begin to shy away. Things happen. Life happens. It happens, and it's going to happen to us. We can't avoid it. It is going to happen. You cannot run from this thing. Only way you can keep this from happening is for you to die. As long as you live, something is going to happen. But it's how we manage what happens. What are you doing with the things that are coming in your direction? When we begin to look at returning, I done made a full turn. I done turned. That's to Sheba. Turn. I have turned. I have pivoted. I'm no longer going to the left. Now I'm going to the right. No longer am I going backwards. I'm going forward. I have made a conscious decision that I don't want to continue down this path. And so what we do is once we get gravity, once we get that traction under our feet, under that decision that we made, now we are obligated to go and help somebody else. It is our responsibility to go and help somebody else. And we cannot continue to be okay with people not being okay around us. We can't continue. And they say, oh, that's just the way they are. No, something got to change. Something, what that song is, something got to break. So I don't know what the name of that song is. That's Kiki Sure. I wasn't that fond of it, but that would come to my mind right now. Something in our lives have to change. We can't continue to do like this. We can't continue to be like this. And as things go on, and we know that we are living in and trying times, these are some dark days that we are living in. And so now we have to come and return to being the light of the world. We got to return to being the salt of the world. We got to be a light and we have to be salt because somebody is looking for us. Somebody is dependent on us. That's what your return look like. Return looks like I'm coming full. I don't want to come full circle. I'm finna say full circle 360. And we don't want to go 360 because you go 360, you're going to end up right back there. But we want to go 180. I want to go 180 and I want to turn and go the other direction. That's our goal. We don't want to keep making these full turns. We don't want to keep doing these 360 turns. We've been doing 360s for the longest. Let's stop the 360s and start doing 380. I mean, not no 380, 180. Let's turn and go in the other direction. We got to move forward. We got to come out of these places and we got to stop feeling like it's all about us. We got to stop doing that. And I was sharing with somebody the other day. I said, I don't struggle with whether I'm going to be saved or not. That's not my struggle. I don't struggle with no more with my voice. I don't struggle with that no more. I did in the past, but now I don't struggle with that. My biggest struggle right now is being consistent with the will of God. Yeah. And so that's one of the things that I have to pray and I have to keep on the altar. God, don't let me quit. Don't let me quit. Because, and I shared this with you guys last Monday, I get to the point it's not that I don't feel like I can't do it. I just don't want to do it no more. I have lost interest in it. I do not want to do it. I don't want to do it no more. And so my thing is I have to stay before God. God, even when I don't want to do it, you got to will me to do it. I don't struggle with the same struggles that most people struggle with, but I got struggles. Just to come back to doing this, I actually enjoy doing this. I actually enjoy engaging with people, but I don't want to do it all the time. I want to do it when I want to do it. I don't always feel like doing this, And I was like, I'm tired. Well, I wasn't tired. I just didn't want to do it. So I got to the point where I was saying I was tired when in all actuality I lost interest. That's what that was. I lost interest in it. And so when I lost interest in it, it didn't give me no energy to get up to go do it. Because, in the beginning, you are always excited. Yes, it's time to go. We finna go do this. And we finna go do that. And we finna go do this. After a while, I was like, I don't want to do it. I don't feel like doing this anymore. And that's where I struggle. And that is one of the things I struggle with. I don't want to do it all the time. I don't like being content. When I'm in. But when I don't feel like doing it, I don't feel like doing it. And so I don't struggle with drugs. I don't struggle with alcohol. I don't struggle with men. I don't struggle with my walk with God. I struggle with I don't feel like doing it. And God was showing me that is just as bad as somebody else. It just is anybody else's struggle. Because he wasn't looking for me. And this is me returning. This is me returning. And so when you return, you are able to be open. You be able to be honest. And it helps other people come up. Because we have this thing where you're looking at people and you think they have arrived. You think they made it. You think, they make you feel like, and they make you think that I don't do no wrong. I just got it all together. No. Nobody got it all together. We all messed up in some type of way. And God is what holding us together. It's by the grace of God that we look the way we do. We do what we do. And we have what we have. We accomplish what we come. It is by the grace of God. So, and I was telling somebody this the other day. I said, you will be surprised if somebody told you their real story, their real testimony. Because the people that we idolize, I really don't do that thing with idolizing people. I've never been that type of person where I was like starstruck, even as a little kid. I was never, I don't know what it is, but I never, and I have come across some well-known people in my lifetime, and I've never felt like, oh man, this is such and such, I gotta get a picture. I never felt like that. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know. I don't know what it is with me with that. But we get that way with people. And then when we start seeing their humanity, we fall, we break, we crumble because we done idolize people. And now we done walked away from what God told us to walk away from. We done walked away from God. We done walked away from some stuff because we got our eyes on somebody else. We idolizing somebody else. And then looking at them causes us to stumble. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy, but it happens. And it happens more often than what you think. And when I tell people, I respect leadership, I honor leadership, but I do not place leadership above God. Because if you walk away from God, I'm sorry, I'm not going to stick with you. Unless God say, hold it right there. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that yes type of person. If you wrong and everybody else saying you right, I'm not that person that's going to say, yeah, no, that's not me. I am not that person that agree when you're in error. And but I am that person when I'm wrong, when I'm realize that I'm wrong, I recognize that I'm wrong. I'm going to admit that I'm wrong, and then I'm going to turn. That's what turning looks like. Turning looks like I acknowledge what I did was not correct. I acknowledge I may have offended you awarely or unawarely. Sometimes we offend people and we don't know we offend them. And I had an opportunity. God put something in my spirit the other day. And God showed me I did not think I did anything. It didn't even come across my mind that I did anything. I said anything because I rarely have interactions with certain people, but then I interact with a lot of people. But I was like, God said, go and apologize because you offended that person. Early in my walk, I'm like, I didn't do anything. What I do? I didn't say nothing. I ain't never said nothing to that person. You go in there and you try to justify yourself. And where I am now with my walk with God, God said, you offended that person. The Bible says that if you have an alt against your brother, you put your gift on the altar and you go get it right with your brother. And that means that even if they don't come to you, you go to them. Because I didn't know I offended the person. Holy Spirit know I did. I didn't know. I didn't think I did anything. Because I'm just being me. I'm just doing what I do. And what God began to show me, that it wasn't about what I did or what I said. Is that when you're dealing with wounded people, there are certain things that you say trigger certain things. And so you don't want to be that person that continue to pile more wounds on a wounded person. So regardless of whether, and this is what God was showing me, regardless of whether it did or it didn't, but for them it did. That makes sense? It may not have been offensive. It may not have came out of your mouth. It may have, and we have to start looking at situations and circumstances like this. And when I was watching this video last night, that they brought that thing back to my remembrance when God was dealing with me about that. And it said, and it was talking about people are dealing with all types of issues. And you can say the right thing the right way to a wounded person and it still be offensive. But it is your responsibility to get it right, not theirs. They should do their part, but it's your responsibility, because if you walking in the word of God, and if you want to be like Christ, because that's what they was talking about, reconciliation, and it was talking about being like Christ. And if you want to be like Christ, when you see somebody offended, you go and you get it right. When you see somebody hurt, you go in there and you pour in the oil and the wine. And I was watching that and I was like, God, sometimes we miss it because we feel like I didn't do it, so it's not my responsibility. And sometimes when you apologizing to people, you're not apologizing for what you did. You're apologizing for what somebody else did. That makes sense. That apology goes a whole lot deeper. A sincere apology go a whole lot deeper than what we think. When we think that, oh my God, when you really look at the thing, oh my God, if I just say I'm sorry, that can probably go down to that deep hidden wound that's in somebody's soul and start bringing that stuff up and start healing that thing. Start a healing process. When we begin to look at that thing different, we'll help somebody else return. When we return, it's not all about us. It said, the definition says again, it means to bring. So that means I have to bring something. I have to offer something. Even if I'm not the person, the corporate that initiated this thing in your life or in that situation, I still have a responsibility to bring something. I don't take on the whole responsibility. Your life is your life. I don't carry it like that. But my part that I am here to play, it is my responsibility to play my part. And sometimes our part is just saying I'm sorry for that mother that never apologized. Sometimes saying I'm sorry is that father that wasn't there, that abandoned that individual. Sometimes that's that apology for that. Because God's so wise and he does things he said his thoughts is not our thoughts and his ways are not our ways. So his thoughts is way above ours. So when God's telling us to go and do this and go and do that, it's the part of a bigger picture. It's a part of sowing seeds. It's about watering the seeds so that he can bring increase in his time. Yeah, that's what returning looks like. Returning looks like doing our part. I wasn't the corporate that did this to you, but I got a part to play because I'm in your life now. You have a part to play because you're in my life now. So we don't just be trafficking in and out of people's lives, just going in and out, just to be going in and out. That should be a purpose. And my prayer for my life right now is, God, make me slippery. Yeah, make me slippery. And what I mean by make me slippery, anything that is not anything, any place, any person that is not a part of where I'm going, cause them to slip off of me. I don't want them. I don't want no leeches. And so when we understand, when we return to a place in God, when we return from a place, we have a greater understanding of, I can't allow everybody in my life. Well, should I say in close proximity? Because Jesus had the 3. He still got away by himself, but he had the 3 amongst those 12. And then he had that 70. It was 70. Yeah, it was 70. So everybody shouldn't have that access in our lives in this season. So if we do a better job, if we do a better job of really processing and compartmentalizing where people belong in our life, we don't have to keep cutting people off in every season. We have to cut people off at the end of every year. No. It's not the will of God for you to be that close to me. So I'm not going to pull you that close to me. That's what returning looks like. I understand boundaries. I understand standards. I understand limitations. I understand these things. When I return, I'm coming back with wisdom. I'm coming back with knowledge. And I'm coming back with understanding. That's what returning looks like. You don't come back dumb, blind, and halted. You don't come back like that. You come back with something. I'm wiser than what I was when I left. I'm more understanding. I got knowledge. And not only do I have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, now I have the capacity to teach others because I have experienced some things. I have gone through some things. So I have been processed through some things. So now I can teach. I can reach. I can stretch out. And so we have to know where we are and what's going on around us. And we got to start processing that thing. So what we're doing when we're returning, we asking questions. Who, when, where, how, and what. We asking these questions because we don't want to go back. That's what returning. We don't want to go back. So we asking questions to close doors, to shut off access to the enemy and lock ourselves out of some places so we don't go back into some places. So we asking questions. And then in asking questions, we're gaining wisdom, we're gaining knowledge, we're gaining understanding. And as we gain these things, now we are able to teach others. We are able to disciple. We are being built up. And so I wanted to leave that with you guys today. So next week I got some stuff for next week. But next week we're going to build on top of this. We're going to add on a little bit more about returning, and then we're going to shift from returning, and then we're going to go into the next phase of this thing, and we're going into the Kyle phase of it. And so we're going to talk next week a little bit more about return. We're going to go a little more in depth about that. But keep in mind, always ask questions. If you're always asking questions, the chances of being stuck in a place is very rare. And if God ordained for us to be in a place, we'll be able to be in that place and be content with an understanding because we didn't ask the questions. So we want to ask questions to get the wisdom, to get the knowledge, to get the understanding, so that we're able to teach, we're able to disciple, because we want to be able to go back and get somebody else when we are after we have come out. So I want to leave you guys with that on today. I am again grateful for all those that came on, for all those that will catch the replay. Dr. Tiffany, appreciate you. Thank you. All y'all that came on today, thank you guys. This is our second video. Woo! And we got to keep this thing going. Y'all keep praying for me. Y'all pray for me that I don't quit. I'm serious. That is one of my struggles. That is one of the things I struggle with. When I lose interest in it, I am ready to let it go. You just gotta let it go. I ain't gonna sing that song, but right now I'm doing good. I am doing good because I'm just starting. You give me about a couple more months, usually about the 5-6 month mark, I'll be like, I'm not interested anymore. But I really enjoy coming on here and doing this. But after a while, this get boring. But we finna go ahead and release you guys again. Thank you guys for coming on. And my thing is, when I come on here, I like to be transparent. Why? Because I open up about the places I struggle. Then now you'll be able to say, okay, I struggle with this and I struggle with that. You can be honest with yourself, and so you can go ahead and grow from there and develop from there. So with that being said, y'all go and grow in grace and peace, and I'll see you guys same time, same place next week. Bye-bye.